Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the In Learning Partnership Brunchables live stream event. We are so happy that you're here with us today. The In Learning Partnership is a collaborative initiative that works to provide professional learning resources for educators in Indiana. We are powered by the Indiana Department of Education, the Indiana Learning Lab, and Keep Indiana Learning, and the partnership offers a wide range of resources and live events that are put together to support educators with the tools that they need. This week, we're having conversations focused on student-centered instruction with educators and practitioners from around Indiana. I'm Jessica Miller from Keep Indiana Learning, and today we are so excited to welcome with us Amanda Crecelius from PATINS Project to chat with us about building authentic relationships with students. Amanda joins us from PATINS. She is a PATINS specialist in Google Chrome accessibility and integration. She supports assistive technology and also accessible educational materials for English language learners. And Amanda, we are so happy to have you with us today. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I really appreciate this opportunity to share. I'm excited to be with each of you today. Today, we're going to be talking about authentic relationships, building those authentic relationships. I do have my contact information on here. I have a QR code also, so you can scan that if you would like to have access to the slides. There's also a forced copy if you go to https://bit.ly, and that's BITYL.co, and that /CVTT. And that will give you access to those slides. So again, welcome. Here's some of my contact information. Today, we would love for you to hashtag anything, any comments or questions, or interact with us on Twitter. And our hashtag is hashtag PATINS, PATINS, and then ICAM, ICAM. And I'd love to hear from you. Just to tell you a little bit about PATINS, we are a part of the Indiana Resource Network, and PATINS stands for Promoting Achievement Through Technology and Instruction for All Students. And so it isn't just about the technology, it's also about strategies, integration, and that's what we kind of focus on. So we are the Indiana Center for Accessible Material is also part of ICAM, part of PATINS, and that we call that ICAM. Today, I do want to say that I do come to you with an accessibility promise. We try to make sure that all of our materials are accessible as possible, and we follow the principles of Universal Design for Learning, that's UDL. And some of the things that you're going to see today, I kind of use this as a checklist whenever I'm going through my presentations too, is simple backgrounds with sans serif font, high contrast real font, captions, which will be provided in the videos that you guys are probably participating in right now. We have alt text on all of the images in the material. You have digital materials provided for you, and we have shortened links, QR codes, hyperlinks, visual examples, and lots of opportunities to respond and ask questions. And again, I did mention that we're part of the Indiana Resource Network. These are some of the other partners of the Indiana Resource Network. If you want to find out more about each of those, there's a QR code and a link on here. Some of those services that I talked about for PATINS, we do serve all of Indiana educators, public schools, and charter schools at no cost. And these are some active links within my presentation of some of those no-cost services that are provided. I did want to highlight one of those things that we do each year, and that's access to education, A2E. And that is going to be in November 2nd and 3rd. And I do have a registration link here and a QR code for you. So let's get into our authentic relationships. I wanted to start this session out with a quote from Brene Brown, and it says, "Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are." And what we're kind of talking about today is moving that into how do we bring that authenticity to our relationships with our students and with our coworkers. And sometimes those relationships are hard. And the challenges that we come up against are things that sometimes we're not prepared for. And so hopefully these things are either reminders of some strategies that you can use, or maybe some new techniques that you can try and implement. So I'm hoping that you come with open ears and open hearts to find out about how we can have more authentic relationships. One of the things that we have to start out with is asking ourselves some questions about how we're coming to the relationship. So one of the ways to kind of figure out how am I approaching this relationship are to just think about these 4 questions. What assumptions am I making? What things am I thinking about this person when I first have a conversation, when we're having this conversation? What are my biases and what am I bringing to this conversation? So not only what is something that I might be limiting me, but also what's something that I'm bringing, so strengths as well. Talking about how I can tap into those things. The third one is, have I put limits on academic, behavioral, or social constructs or outcomes based on what I think is typical? So eliminating kind of those ideas of what is typical. And typical usually is a mere reflection of us. So trying to say, can I look at it in a different perspective? And then the fourth question is, have I created any barriers to contextual, physical, or social environment unintentionally? And that is okay for us to say. Just we need to recognize that we've kind of set those barriers so that we can recognize how we might be able to address those within ourselves. So we want to kind of start out this whole relationship building looking internally at ourselves. And once we kind of get that under control, then we can start pushing outward. And what we're going to look at first is our students and our student relationships. And then we'll talk about our relationships with other educators. So I'm going to start out with student-teacher relationship, our high fives. So you're going to see my hand high five the screen 5 times today, folks. I hope you're excited about that. And one of the first things I want to talk about is to make sure that we pronounce names properly. And I do work with multilingual students, and I think that this is a very important thing. I myself have an interesting and maybe difficult last name to pronounce, and I put it on the screen so you can think about how you would pronounce that. We did have Jessica beautifully pronounce my last name at the beginning of this presentation, but if you want to think about how do you pronounce that, and sometimes you have to ask some things like, let me try it out, to your students, or can you tell me one more time? And that tell me one more time can happen many times throughout the year. And just saying, I'm working on it. I'm not perfect and start working on it. One of the ways that I tell people how to pronounce my name is I make little images. So if you want to learn how to pronounce my name, it is Cre, like crest, toothpaste, Cre, and then seal, and then us, Crecelius. And so you can put these things together, and this is a beautiful way for you to work with your student, for them to share how to pronounce their name, and for you to have kind of a visual way of thinking about how to pronounce your students' names. Another thing that you can do is to set aside talk time. And this is something that you intentionally need to do. I wanted to play at the beginning of this session, just the 2 of us, because I feel like that's the relationship. And this concept is just setting aside 2 minutes every day, 2 minutes of your time, every day for 10 days, just working with one specific student, talking about different topics of their interest. So ways that you can do this is discover their likes and dislikes. You can do this through inventories. You can do it through interviews, observations. And I want to really highlight that inventory is that sometimes giving students time to write stuff down and respond to questions, and you responding to them in a written form might be a helpful way too for them to have a non-intense conversation with you. The other thing is that you can provide some topics. They can provide topics. And that might be something that you want to consider to do when you're having this talk time with your students. And the last thing is set a timer. It is hard to keep track of how much time we spend. Sometimes we think that 2 minutes is a long time. Sometimes it ends up being really short. But setting that timer to make sure that you're setting that time aside. So putting it on your calendar, setting a timer. I embedded just the 2 of us instrumental song here. It's exactly 2.10 minutes, so you can have it playing in the background, and when it stops, you know that your time is up. So that might be a helpful thing to put in the background when you're having those conversations. The next thing is our number 3, our high five 3, is 2 by 10 till you talk again, 2 by 10 to comprehend. And so just thinking about every time I say 2 words, every time I show 2 images or an image, I need to stop talking and I need to provide at least 10 seconds of processing time. And that might seem like a really long time. And so again, counting in your head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See, it sounds like a long time. But having that time for students to be able to process what they're seeing or what they're hearing is going to make a giant difference in you respecting them as a person, you understanding them, and understanding where they're coming from. Our number 4, high five, is going to be use the power of wait time, which seems very similar to the previous one, but this is also while students are constructing a conversation with you. So wait at least 5 to 10 seconds. If you're talking to multilingual students and you know that they are, that can be up to 20 seconds for them to finish their thought. And I don't know if you've ever been in a conversation with another adult that they cut you off, they interrupt you, that it's really frustrating. So making sure that you're doing this not only with your students, but with other adults in your life as well. So children and adults can really benefit from having that extra time for you to let them finish their thought. We always want to respond. We're waiting to respond, but taking a deep breath and really listening and allowing them to finish is very important and valuable for building authentic relationships. And our last high five is to remember the 4-to-1 ratio. So the bigger collections, just imagine all of our experiences are balloons, and the bigger collection of balloons, positive balloons that we have, the less impact one of them exploding or bursting has. So trying to fill their day, fill the comments that you're making with not corrections, with not don't do this, is a mistake, but filling our day with positive things can really make that that less impactful whenever they do have a bubble burst. And this image on here kind of talks about that 4-to-1. So ensuring that you're having more positive statements, and you can see that only one bubble or balloon is bursting and you have 4 that are still there, as opposed to when a student, you're not really keeping track of that. And the student has now 4 corrections that they have and only 1 positive thing. So it's more difficult to keep track or to focus on the positive. Working with student relationships is difficult. I think that even working with our coworkers sometimes is even more difficult in some senses. And we need to work on those relationships as well, because our relationship with our coworkers is a model, an example for our students to see. So I'm going to talk about getting a 5-star relationship with your coworkers. The difficult ones, the ones that are your best friends, all of those people that are in your life. So we're going to start off with our number 1 star is going to be to create a positive vibe. And that is just a smile on your face, whether you want to do that or not. My mom always gives me the advice to fake it till you make it. And that smile on your face is a big deal because you eventually do just embody that smile. So knowing the likes and interests, even of coworkers that you might not have a positive relationship with just yet. Kind of trying to get to know them and finding out their likes and dislikes. And of course, always have candy ready. This is a big thing for teachers. We love candy. I particularly like chocolate. So if you ever are having a conversation with me and it's a hard one you want to have, just give me chocolate and I'll probably be happy. So set the tone for those 5-star relationships. The other one is to validate feelings and journeys. And I know that this is something we say a lot, but for me, it was difficult to think of what are the words I need to use. And I've heard lots of coworkers use these words. And it really helps me to kind of house them somewhere to say, how can I acknowledge their experience? Saying something simple like, whether or not you agree with it, it really is this, I want to acknowledge your experience. Is that this might be something foreign to me, but understanding that it's important for me to say, that sounds really difficult. It does. For maybe not a difficult thing for you, but it sounds like it's something difficult for them. So acknowledging that. The next was empathize with their perspective. And again, I can understand why you feel that way, and not an accusatory thing, or that's something that's just for you, but I can understand that. It's understandable. Avoiding unsolicited advice. This is very difficult. But just saying, you know what? Let me know how I can support you. Let me know how I can help you. Let me know what I can do. And then the last thing is just accepting those feelings. And this is a lot of people just want to hear this. I hear you, and what you're feeling is okay. It's okay to feel those feelings. And I think that that's a difficult one. I recently just been having a conversation with my husband about these exact things. We need to start saying these. He wants to always fix my problems. Or when I'm sharing something and I say, listen, I just want you to say these things. I don't want you to try to fix it. And this is what other people want. We want people to hear us. We want people to recognize our experiences. And sometimes that's enough. But that's going to build those authentic relationships. To be a 5-star friend and coworker, we're going to focus on the good. We have a lot of negative talk that comes in and about students, about other coworkers. So let's go back to the strength. So if somebody comes in and is talking to you and you're hearing a lot of negative things about a student or about another coworker, just bring them back to what are the strengths of that person? And let's focus on that. Try to avoid any gossip that you've already heard about them. Don't add on to it. Don't add any more negative talk, because we want to try and improve the way we're talking. We're bringing this back to a positive setup. And then the last one is ask lots of questions. This is a really good way to kind of get to the root or to maybe a bigger issue, is that how are you feeling today? Is there anything else going on with you? Is what's making you kind of feel this way? And just in not accusatory way, we're just trying to get information so that we can focus on the good, so that we can focus on moving forward. And sometimes those are difficult things to do. Number 4, this is when it's getting hard. These hard conversations, talk it out before going to admin. So it's easy just to run a lot of stuff like, hey, I can't handle this. I've got a big class full of students, and this teacher that I'm working with, we're just not getting along. I would encourage you to follow the GROW method. And the GROW is just sit down and have that conversation. And it's set a goal and purpose for the conversation. Hey, I'd love to sit down with you and talk about this. And then be real. Just be real and truthful and helpful about what you want to share, about what's going on with you. Again, in a helpful way. And then give some options. Hey, maybe we can try this, or this. And then the last one is asking them if they're willing. Are you willing to work on this with me? And this is all the stuff that we can do before we step into the admin office and say, hey, I'm having a big problem with this other teacher. Just having those times for us to have those difficult conversations is really important. And I think that if we do that, we can really grow together. And then the last one for our 5-star relationship builders is going to be to build bridges and not barriers. And one of the things that might be, you've had that grow conversation with somebody, and now it's kind of, they're just off. You're in your space and I'm in my space. But we want to make sure that we're continuing to build those bridges, and that is to have check-ins. So, hey, I've been thinking about our chat and I wanted to follow up and make sure you're feeling okay. How are you feeling about how are you feeling right now? How are you feeling about, the conversation that we had? Are we working together toward this? And keep including them. Hey, let's grab a coffee and catch up. Hey, some other coworkers, we're going to be having a pitch in. Do you want to join us? And that's a really hard thing to do sometimes, to remember to do that check-in and to keep including those people in those conversations. So making sure that you're doing that. And then the last one, at the end of your day, kind of to wrap up everything that we've been talking about already, about our student relationships, and about our relationships with other teachers, my suggestion is to wrap up the end of your day. Again, probably going to take you 2 minutes to do this, is to highlight one of those strengths that you talked about, one of those strengths you found out, or appreciated aspects of a student, and just say thank you. Sending a message, and that can be and then the second one is to send it to a colleague, the same thing, a strength or an appreciated aspect of that person. And again, that just taking that time for you to reflect, thinking about your own biases, kind of what we talked about at the very beginning, looking at those aspects of that we need to think about for ourselves. What do I bring to this? What biases do I bring? What limits do I bring? And then at the end of the day saying, you know what? I'm really appreciative of this person and the things that I got to do with them. And so being able to take that time to reflect at the end of the day is so helpful. And according to Sean Aker, who wrote Before Happiness, the 5 Hidden Keys of Achieving Success and Spreading Happiness and Sustaining Positive Change, he said this is the secret to happiness. Taking 2 minutes out of your day to send a message or two of how grateful you are. And again, this is a great culminating factor, just bring all of this together and to say that. I do recognize that we have hard days, and lately as educators, we've had really hard days. And so taking this time to have a focus about some positive things at the end of the day is important. Sometimes, I also put a link on here to the reference. Sometimes that's hard to do. And it's really difficult because we can't pour from an empty cup. And some days all of our energy is drained and there is just nothing that we feel like we can give to another person. And in those times, we can go and look for whatever it is that fills us up. And for me, I'm going to share a video at this very end about somebody that fills me up, and thinking about the wise words that she has helps me. If that's something that helps you, great. If it's not, find something that does, because all of the things we're talking about, these relationships, has to start with us. That's why we start with our looking at the us inside first, applying and thinking about these strategies second, reflecting again at the end of us. But before we can do any of that stuff, we really have to think about how am I able to give to somebody else? I got to fill up myself. And so I'm going to end this session and maybe add a little things at the end, but I'm going to end this with our time with Tabitha. If you don't know Tabitha Brown, she is she's on TikTok, and she's on, I don't use TikTok, but I've seen her on YouTube, and I really just like to listen to her. She seems like she's talking just to me. You don't have to use Tabitha Brown. If you have a really good friend that can do this for you, that's probably even better. But I'm going to let you watch a little bit of Tabitha Brown, because we all need a little bit of this at the end of our day. So if your cup is empty and you need somebody to believe in you and to tell you that, I'll suggest this, and we'll wrap up right after her little video.
Hello there. You all right? It's okay. Listen, I simply came here to tell you this. Come here, lean in. I believe in you. I believe in you. I love you. I'm proud of you. I know that it feels like no one sees you, no one hears you, no one cares. But I do. I believe you. I think of you. I see you. I hear you. And I'm rooting for you. You keep going, no matter what. Even in this time when it feels like you're all alone, don't you stop. Don't you give up on you. Okay? Somebody is thinking of you, praying for you, and loving on you. I love you. I believe in you. I'll see you later.
Now, I listen to Tabitha and I get a little tear in my eye, because I just think she's talking to me. And I hope that is encouraging to you on those days when you feel like I got nothing else to give. I can't build all these relationships. I feel like I can't authentically connect with somebody. And some of the times that's because we haven't taken a little time for us. We haven't taken a little time to look at, hey, I believe in myself. Other people believe in me. Other people are counting on me. Other people love me. And taking that time to have that reflection, I think, builds this whole authentic relationship. And again, going back to Brene Brown, her authenticity quote is that letting go of what we think we should be and just being us. So I hope that this is a helpful session for you today.
Hello there.
And that you are able to get something out of this. I really appreciate being with you and finishing up a little bit early today. Here is my contact information if you're interested in finding more about PATINS. We do have 8 different PATINS specialists that are there to support and help you. It is our sole job to help you. So please reach out to us on those days when it's might be difficult, those days that you're trying to build those relationships, you're looking for new strategies, you're looking for help with students. We are here to help you. We're here to help your school, and we're here primarily also to help your students. So please like us on Facebook, PATINS at PATINS Project, and follow us on Twitter, again, at PATINS Project. And if you have any questions or comments, anything you want more information about, hashtag PATINS ICAM, and we are happy to help you. Jessica, I'm done a little bit early. If you have any questions or anything else, I'm happy to share.
Oh, thank you, Amanda. We are just so grateful that you were able to join us today for our In-Learning Partnership Brunchables event. I enjoyed so much of your presentation. I was taking copious notes while you were talking today. Really, you know, what you wrapped up with was focusing on ourselves and making sure that we are filling our own cups and that we are in a place to really be resilient in our workplace, I think is so incredibly important. And the high fives for building relationships with students were such, you know, just a way to quickly cap up a few strategies that we can immediately put in our pocket and use the next day. So thank you so much for sharing those with us. And thank you to all of our viewers. We love being partners in learning with all of you and are so grateful that you joined us today. Please be sure to follow the hashtag #InLearningPartner and the partners on Twitter to make sure that you're catching all of the events, promotions, and conversations that we're having together. You can find the Indiana DOE at EducateIN, the Learning Lab at InLearningLab, and Keep Indiana Learning at Keep In Learning. The collective mission of the In-Learning Partnership is to serve educators by bringing together all of our skills to provide opportunities that are accessible, impactful, and aligned. We hope that you will join us in this mission by sharing this video, by commenting and letting us know what other topics you might like to hear from the In-Learning Partnership, or any other way you might like to connect with us. We hope that you'll check out the shared partnership calendar on the DOE website for upcoming partnership events, and we thank you again for joining us today.